Ever imagine yourself not just surviving the wild, but teaching others to thrive in it?
That's exactly what we're diving into today.
We're talking about the exciting world of survival instructors. We've got some really interesting insights from RoleCatcher, this platform all about, well, landing your dream job. They've got this whole guide on becoming a survival instructor, and it's pretty fascinating.
It really is. We'll uncover what these instructors really do, the real deal, not just the Bear Grylls version.
Right, because it's got to be more than just building a fire and, I don't know, eating bugs, right?
It's about leadership, mentorship, guiding people through challenges. Think of the wilderness as a classroom, but, with higher stakes.
Okay, so less textbook, more uh-oh moments.
Exactly. And those moments, they require a whole other skill set. You're responsible for a group's well-being.
So it's not just surviving the wilderness, it's surviving the dynamics of people under pressure.
Exactly. You've got sunny storms, difficult terrain, maybe even the occasional surprised bear. It's all part of the job description. You've got to think on your feet, adapt, and stay calm no matter what.
Easier said than done, I'd imagine. So how do you even prepare for a career that's, well, equal parts exciting and, let's be honest, slightly terrifying?
That's where RoleCatcher's career progression model comes in. They break it down into stages, starting with the trainee.
Okay, let's talk about that. What does a typical path look like?
Well, it usually starts with a whole lot of passion, a real curiosity for the outdoors. And while certifications are great, RoleCatcher really emphasizes hands-on experience above all else.
So ditch the classroom and head straight for the woods.
Not quite. Formal qualifications are still important, things like wilderness first responder certifications. But it's those expeditions, the volunteer work, the time spent actually practicing survival skills that really shapes a survival instructor.
So it's like building a resume, but instead of bullet points, it's, I don't know, successful fires and edible plants.
You got it. It's about real-life experience. But you're not just thrown to the wolves, so to speak.
There's no Survival Instructor 101 at the local community college.
Not usually. But organizations like the ones RoleCatcher highlights often have structured programs, apprenticeships, where you can learn in a safe environment.
Okay, so you're not just handed a compass and a prayer and told good luck.
Definitely not. Think of it like an apprenticeship. You're learning by watching those seasoned instructors. RoleCatcher really paints a vivid picture of this starting stage.
So what's it actually like being a trainee? Are we talking wide-eyed and eager or more like,
Deer in the headlights.
Yeah, exactly.
Honestly, probably a bit of both. You're the new recruit, eager to learn, maybe a little intimidated, and that's okay. RoleCatcher describes them as assisting the senior instructors,
Yep.
Getting their hands dirty with fire starting, shelter building, all the essentials.
Building that foundation. So is there one skill that's like the ultimate test?
Well, they're learning it all, fire, shelter, finding water, but RoleCatcher really emphasizes mastering fire as this, rite of passage.
Why fire specifically? I mean, water seems pretty crucial out in the wilderness.
It's more than just warmth and cooking, right? Fire represents that resourcefulness, that ability to transform your surroundings. It takes patience, understanding the elements. Imagine that sense of accomplishment when you spark a flame using just, friction or primitive tools.
It's almost primal, magical even. I bet it earns you some respect from the group, too.
Oh, absolutely. You're showing you're competent, resourceful, but that's just the beginning. As a trainee gains experience, they move up to junior survival instructor.
Okay, so they've graduated from Firestarter 2. What exactly does a junior instructor do?
They're stepping up, taking charge, but still with that guidance. The training wheels are coming off, they're leading groups, teaching those essential skills firsthand.
Like a sink or swim moment, but with hopefully a very attentive lifeguard. And the tasks are getting more complex too.
You got it. It's not just building any fire anymore. You're teaching how to adapt techniques to different environments, different weather. It's a whole other level.
So you're not just teaching survival skills, you're teaching adaptability, problem solving.
Absolutely. And the interpersonal stuff can't be ignored. RoleCatcher stresses how important empathy and communication are. You're reading the group, noticing who's struggling, and you're there to offer support.
Creating that we're all in this together feeling.
Exactly. And those moments when someone overcomes a fear, pushes their limits, those are powerful.
I can see how that would be incredibly rewarding. So we've talked about day-to-day, the challenges, the high points. How does a junior instructor climb that wilderness ladder, so to speak? What's next?
Well, with experience and dedication, they can become senior survival instructors. That's where their expertise really shines.
They've become the fire masters.
You could say that, They're not just teaching skills anymore. They're facilitating a deep understanding of self-reliance, risk. They're mentors now, guiding both participants and less experienced instructors.
I bet they have the best campfire stories.
Probably. But it's more than that. They're the ones pushing for leadership within the group, encouraging people to step outside their comfort zones. And their skills, let's just say they're beyond impressive.
The kind of resourcefulness that makes you feel a little safer just knowing they exist, right? What sets their skills apart?
RoleCatcher says they're demonstrating advanced techniques in everything. Fire, shelter, navigating tough terrain, even understanding animal behavior. They've honed their intuition, they can read the wilderness, and they make those crucial decisions, even under pressure.
They're like in tune with nature, but with a better sense of direction than a squirrel.
Exactly. And mentorship is a huge part of it now. They're shaping the next generation of instructors. RoleCatcher highlights how senior instructors often end up in leadership positions, developing training, setting standards.
The master crafts people of survival, making sure those skills are passed down.
That's a great way to put it.
Yeah.
And reaching that level, it takes serious commitment. It's more than a job, it's a lifestyle.
Constantly pushing boundaries, learning, and then sharing that with others. It's interesting, though, that even in a field so connected to, well, nature, technology is playing a bigger role.
That's right. And that's where RoleCatcher's own platform is interesting. They're not just information. They're a tool for both aspiring and experienced instructors.
Bridging that gap between the digital world and the wilderness. How so?
Well, they've got this wealth of resources. Aspiring instructors can see different career paths, what skills they need, even potential salary stuff. But it goes deeper than that.
Okay, what else does RoleCatcher do?
They're using AI now to make your job search really personalized. Imagine you upload your resume, and RoleCatcher analyzes it, tells you where your skill gaps are, even suggests jobs that fit you.
It's like having a personal career coach who specializes in, well, surviving in the wild.
Exactly. And it gets better. RoleCatcher also helps employers find the right people. It streamlines the whole hiring process.
So it's a win-win for everyone. But let's dive into how this technology specifically helps people pursuing survival instruction. We'll be back after this quick break. Back again, and we're getting into the nitty-gritty of being a junior survival instructor. So we know the skills, the mindset, but what's a typical day even look like?
Typical is a tough one in this line of work. But let's say you're on a multi-day expedition. You're morning, probably briefing the group, could be navigating that day's terrain, teaching how to find edible plants, maybe even getting that fire practice in.
No, slideshow presentations in the middle of the woods.
Nope, this is hands-on all the way. Demonstrating, guiding, maybe throwing in some of those hard-earned stories to keep spirits up. But safety is key. Always got to be assessing risks, right? Weather changes, making sure the group's ready for anything.
So you're part instructor, part wilderness guide, part like that person who stops things from going wrong before they even do?
Pretty much. Don't forget that camp counselor role, too. Building those connections is so important out there.
Okay, I see the appeal here. But there's gotta be times when it gets intense, right? When those leadership skills are really put to the test?
Oh, for sure. Picture this. You're deep in the wilderness, storm rolls in out of nowhere, and you're adapting on the fly, finding shelter, keeping everyone calm while, chaos is basically happening.
Talk about high pressure. And it's not just about getting through it physically, it's the emotional well-being of the group, too.
Right. RoleCatcher really emphasizes that empathy, communication. You're reading the room, even out in the wild, noticing who's struggling, being that support system.
That we're in this together vibe. But I bet those moments when someone pushes past a fear, finds a strength they didn't know they had, that's got to be amazing to witness.
It really is. It's those moments, seeing that transformation, that keeps people coming back, even with all the challenges. You're a part of that journey.
So day-to-day stuff, those high-pressure moments, the deep rewards, how does a junior instructor level up from here?
Well, experience, passion, that dedication. It leads to becoming a senior survival instructor. And that's when their expertise really shines through.
They've reached, like, fire master level.
Right. It's beyond just the skills now. It's teaching that understanding of self-reliance, risk assessment, their mentors, guiding new instructors, sharing what they've learned.
I bet they do have the best stories around the campfire, though.
Probably true. But it's more than stories. They're bringing out leadership in others, encouraging people to get out of that comfort zone. And their skills. Seriously impressive.
The kind of stuff that makes you feel like, okay, humanity might just make it if we have people like this around. But seriously, what makes their skill set different?
Well, RoleCatcher talks about them having those advanced techniques, everything from fire and shelter to like reading animal behavior.
Mm.
Their intuition is sharp. They can read the wilderness and they make good decisions even when things are stressful.
They're in sync with nature, but like with a compass and a map.
Yeah. And mentorship becomes even bigger now. They're responsible for bringing up those new instructors. RoleCatcher even says they're the ones developing training programs, making sure standards stay high.
Like those master craftspeople, right?
Hmm.
Passing down what they know to keep those skills alive.
Perfectly said. And getting to that point, it takes serious commitment. It's a whole way of life.
Constantly pushing yourself, always learning more, and then having that passion to teach it to others. It's kind of cool, though, even in a field so connected to, well, being out in the wild, technology is becoming more important.
It really is. And RoleCatcher, their platform, shows that. They're not just giving info, they're a tool for these instructors.
So they're bridging that gap between the digital world and, well, going off grid.
Yeah. They have all these resources, ways for aspiring instructors to see what paths they can take, what they need to learn. But it's even more than that.
Like what?
They're using AI now to personalize the whole job search thing. So say you upload your resume, RoleCatcher looks at it, tells you where your skills might need work, and then suggests jobs based on you.
It's like having a personal career counselor who specializes in surviving in the wilderness.
Exactly. And there's more. RoleCatcher even helps employers find the right people. It makes hiring smoother for everyone.
Everybody wins. But let's get into how this tech specifically helps people who want to get into survival instruction. We'll break this down after a quick break. We're back, diving into how tech, like RoleCatcher, is seriously changing the game for these aspiring survival instructors.
It's kind of wild, right? You're learning to lead people through nature, all about those primal skills, but then you're using cutting-edge tech to actually get there.
Mastering both worlds.
Exactly. And that's where those RoleCatcher features are so smart. We talked about them analyzing your resume, suggesting jobs, but get this, they even help you prep for interviews.
Because even if you can start a fire with a stick and some moss, you still gotta nail those interview questions.
Right. And RoleCatcher, they've got this huge database of practice questions, all geared towards specific careers. So for survival instructors, it's stuff like, how do you handle conflict in a group out in the middle of nowhere? Or you've got different learning styles. How do you adapt your teaching?
It's like cheating, almost, getting this inside look at what they'll ask.
Totally. And if you really want to be on top of it, they've even got AI that gives feedback on your practice answers. Like having a coach who's seen thousands of interviews.
It makes those resources so much more accessible.
Definitely. And it kind of gets to the heart of what we've been talking about. It doesn't matter if you're learning to survive in the woods or in your career. It's all about that drive to learn, to grow.
Embrace the challenge, right? And hey, sometimes the tools that get you there are the ones you'd least expect.
Well said. Wrapping up this deep dive, it's that passion, that resilience of survival instructors that really stands out.
They're connected to nature, they want to teach, and they push themselves constantly.
It's a good reminder that sometimes the greatest adventures, they're the ones that show us what we're really capable of. So think about it. What are you ready to explore? What's that hidden potential just waiting for you to discover it?
Maybe this got you fired up, made you think about not just surviving, but really thriving. Thanks for joining us on this deep dive into the world of survival instructors.